Thank you. Thank you for appearing today. A recent peer-reviewed paper in the establishment scientific journal Vaccine examined Pfizer's COVID vaccine randomised phase 3 clinical trials data. It used that's Pfizer's own data, own trial. It used the World Health Organization's framework made for this purpose, the Brighton Collaboration on Adverse Events of Special Interest. Authors included virology and pharmacology experts from UCLA, Stanford, University of Baltimore and Queensland's Bond University. The paper concluded that Pfizer's vaccine, its injection, was associated with 36% increase in serious adverse events. The most common were coagulation disorders, including thrombosis and acute cardiac injury. In every 10,000 people injected, 18, that's 2 in 1,000, will experience a life-threatening or altering medical complication. Serious adverse events from Pfizer's COVID vaccine are 4 times higher than any benefit from the vaccine in reduced hospitalisation. The paper said the product should never have been approved. These world-leading virologists spent 18 months reviewing the data, Pfizer's patient-level data, and peer-reviewing their paper. The department reviewed the data in a matter of weeks and made a finding that is the reverse of this paper's findings. Who got it wrong? These world-leading virologists or the advisory panel, the politically compromised advisory panel? Who got it wrong?
Thank you very much for the question, Senator. Can I just clarify that you're talking about the article by Pharma and al. that's published in the Vaccine Journal in December of 2022?
I don't have that with me, but it was.
Okay. So without the article in front of me, I'm going to assume that you're talking about the article by Pharma and al., including Peter Doshi and a number of other journalists. There were findings there that called upon the list that's assembled by the Brighton Collaborative, which includes adverse events of special interest, and you highlighted that there are multiple adverse events there, including serious adverse events to do with clotting disorders. There are also others that are to do with anosmia and chilblain-like effects. There has been a significant discussion around the rigour of that article in the scientific press. It has been challenged on a number of grounds. One of those is particularly the fact that this is a reanalysis of initial randomised controlled trials some 21 months after the effect, and that's an unusual undertaking in its own respect. One of the challenges about it, of course, is that it's relying on data that was collected at the very start of the pandemic, as opposed to, as has been highlighted at the hearing already, relying on significant real-world evidence that has been assembled since then, including the administration of 12 billion vaccine doses worldwide, and indeed 68 million vaccine doses in Australia up until the 23rd of June this year. The TGA undertakes a number of actions to ensure the safety, efficacy and quality of the medications that are entered onto the Australian Register of Therapeutic Goods. These include, obviously, pre-market assessment, and you would be fully aware, I'm sure, Senator, of the provisional approval pathway that was undertaken for these vaccines, but also we undertake significant pharmacovigilance activities in the post-market surveillance. This includes being fully aware of and apprised of literature of varying levels of scientific rigour and incorporating those into our post-market surveillance as we search for signals. But it also includes our significantly well-developed and well-subscribed reporting of adverse event process in Australia. To the 23rd of July 2023, there have been 139,270 adverse event reports for COVID-19 vaccines, which gives us a rate of 2 per 100,000. I think it's important to note that there are a number of features that do hamper our ability to take those numbers as an overall evidence of serious adverse events that are vaccine-related. These include such issues as reporting capture. Obviously, it goes down to the inclination of individuals to report those events. I want it to be very clear, Senator, that at the TGA we very much encourage the reporting by consumers or health professionals of adverse events that they believe follow a vaccine, whether there is evidence or not that is actually caused by vaccine.
Talking about the TGA, Professor Skerritt, as I understand it, admitted in answering a question of mine in the last Senate estimate sessions that the TGA did no testing and relied on the FDA. The FDA, in turn, I'm advised, did no testing and relied on Pfizer's trials, the same trials that I just discussed. On what scientific basis did you mandate the untested injections? And Professor Skerritt said they didn't do it because the FDA has $8 billion in budget and annual budget and 15,000 employees. So he relied on the FDA. The FDA relied on Pfizer. So then no one in the TGA, as I understand it, reviewed the patient-level data.
I'll start, Senator, just by saying that I'm not in a position to answer for Professor Skerritt, but there was a question in the middle that I understood to be on what basis did we mandate the vaccinations. Is that correct?
No, I didn't say that.
Sorry, I misheard then. Can I?
I'm sorry if I said that. On what basis did you provisionally approve?
Okay, thank you, and apologies for misunderstanding the Senator. So, as you'd be aware, the Therapeutic Goods Administration does have the responsibility for assessing and approving medications to go onto the Australian Register of Therapeutic Goods on the basis of safety, quality and efficacy. All the COVID-19 vaccines have been approved via our provisional registration pathway, which enables earlier access to promising new medicines while data on longer-term efficacy and safety are still being gathered. I think it's important to
Sorry, what was that last bit?
While data on longer-term efficacy and safety are still being gathered.
So you provisionally approved them, and now you're collecting the data?
No, it is the role of the TGA to undertake assessment of medication prior to entry on the Australian Register of Therapeutic Goods, and we always have an ongoing role in continuing to collect data, including through our pharmacovigilance activities, which includes maintenance of adverse event reporting and also surveillance for the development of signals both in Australia and elsewhere.
Just on your adverse events reporting, on what basis? Because I've asked 3 times, Professor Skerritt failed to reply the first 2 times. It took me months to get it out of him. What is your process for reviewing the adverse events reports, especially doctors' reports of death? Doctors have reported around about 1,000 deaths, and that's been wiped down to about 14, with no basis, no objective criteria in the assessment process. How can you call that a decent adverse event reporting? Deaths.
So I think
wiped.
If I understand correctly, there are 2 questions you're asking there, Senator. One is about the process we undertake for provisional reporting, and the other is the issue that we undertake for adverse event notification and monitoring. Am I correct?
Changing it, that's correct. Changing it from reported deaths to...
Sorry, Senator Roberts, I didn't want to... I know you're doing a follow-up question there, but after follow-up question, there's one more question.
Okay.
So we undertake, before the provisional approval of vaccines within Australia, we establish the acceptable safety, quality and efficacy of the vaccine based on a comprehensive evaluation of a wide range of information, and that includes leveraging our significant global partnerships with other regulators. It's important to note that we undertake, through a team of clinical and scientific experts at the TGA, a careful review of this data, and we seek advice as well from the Statutory Advisory Committee on Vaccines prior to a senior medical officer making a regulatory decision within the statutes of the Therapeutic Goods Act 1989. The vaccine is only provisionally approved by the TGA if this rigorous process is completed and the benefits of the vaccine are considered to be much greater than any potential risks. Now, on the second question that you asked, Senator, around I think you were suggesting that there was a wiping or a removal of deaths that have been reported. I think it's important to note, as I was saying previously, that there are a number of reasons why we encourage adverse event reporting, but why the numbers that come through to our database of adverse event notification are not and should not be taken on face value as an indication that there are...
Excuse me. Sorry. Doctors are charged with the responsibility of writing out a death certificate and signing it. They know the cause. There were close to 1,000 of them, but they've been wiped by the TGA, and in a review without objective criteria, down to 14. How can you justify that?
Well, I don't think that it's accurate for you to characterise... Well, sorry,
Doctors
I can't
reported deaths.
Appreciate the determination of the cause of death is a coronial activity. I don't know, Dr. Pengilly, if you'd like to reflect on...
Well, I won't reflect on the particular...
So how many of these have gone to the coroner?
So just following this answer, I'll have to go to Senator...
How many have gone to the coroner?
Sorry, Antti, after this.
Sorry, am I answering this? Yeah.
Yeah, if you could answer that.
So look, I won't answer the question regarding the 1,000 reports, but I think the issue Professor Lawler is making is that just because you get a report, and obviously if a report of somebody has died, they have died, What we're actually trying to do is then determine whether that is actually related to the vaccine or to any product. And that is a determination which has to be made by further examination of the circumstances, temporality, whether there were other causes. And that means that a large number of the reports eventually are found not to be associated. And there are a whole range of criteria which you can use for those. I won't go into them, but we can provide more information on.
Could you put it on notice? I want to know the objective criteria you use for changing a doctor's report who knows the patient.
We're not changing a doctor's report.
Doctor reported death, and you're not attributed to a vaccine.
Well, Senator, with respect, we're not saying the patient didn't die.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You're misleading.
Well, I'm accurately reflecting that we were changing a doctor's report.
We're happy to take that on.
However,
I want the objective criteria by which you change a doctor's reported death due to a vaccine back to not associated with the vaccine.
We're very happy to provide the Senator with information on the process that is followed.
Thank you.
Following the report of the death following vaccination.
Thanks, Professor Lawler. Appreciate that, sir.